Hello, my name is Chelsea King Martin.
And I'm Kristin Lee Amundsen-Spear.
And today we are reaching out to you via video to tell you about a project that we have been talking about manifesting for some time. And it includes us talking about our divorces and including you in that conversation, and ultimately moving toward alchemizing our divorce and really turning something that can be a very painful process into something that can really manifest magic and potential in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So today what we would like to do is just begin by telling you that we're doing this and inviting you into it. And this is our first video to basically introduce the topic. And then we would like to spend some time with you also in another video, basically telling our story. And, we recognize in the sharing of our stories, because I think I first met you, Kristin, when you were going through your divorce.
At the very beginning. Yes.
And it's been how many years since your divorce was final?
Since it's been final, oh my gosh, the breakup started in 2011. Okay. So I actually left, 2011, the divorce was final.
It was final in 2011.
2011.
Okay. So you're more or less 8 years removed.
Yes.
And in a new, loving, committed marriage. Yeah.
Hence my name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I'm in a very different position with mine because mine was just final in October. When it's January now, so mine has only been final for a few years. And the idea of being in any other, committed relationship is so far. And so I think I love that we're in different places.
And the other interesting thing about us and our coming together is that the way that our divorces unfolded is very different. For me, I was the one who was told that my husband no longer wanted to be married. And for you, you were the brave one to make that decision. Mm-hmm. And so we have very different perspectives, and I think everybody's divorce story is so unique. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, it all falls under the heading of divorce. Great. There's 500 million or however many people there are that have been divorced have their own unique story under that. And even each person in the divorce has their own unique perspective and story on it. And so I think that's what we realized, that the pain of heartbreak and loss is the similar thread, but the story around it can be very different. And yet that thread that follows through each of the stories is where we come into almost like community and connect and see all the different facets and really help us to alchemize that word.
Yeah, and the word alchemizing is interesting, and I think it is a personal journey. I mean, one of the things for me in my divorce was how there was a public element to it, because you have the unraveling of the family, and then there's very much a lot of the private, the details of why and how. But that's, I think, part of the stories. I guess we have our personal stories. Even the two people within the relationship have their own stories, but then we also have all these cultural stories that we inherit, right? The stories that we inherit from our religious institutions, our schools, our media, our extended families that tell us what does it mean to divorce.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot to negotiate. My story, my partner's story. In my case, I have 3 children. So potentially their stories as well as that larger context.
And the family stories, and then the societal stories, and on and on and on. Yeah. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, is provide a couple of things with this workshop. I think one thing that I'm really excited about providing is that space to hold these stories and to process some of this. To really be able to have the time and space to look at it and to explore our own selves within it. And it doesn't matter whether it's been 7 years, whether it's been a few months, whether it's been 20 some odd years that what sparked this story, right? the woman
Yes.
in your community.
Yeah, this Kristin and I had been talking about wanting to collaborate and create some sort of a workshop together, and so that seed had been planted, and I was in my congregation, and a woman got up and she lit a candle of it's supposed to be like joys and sorrow, and basically it was one of sorrow. She was 20 something years out, well into a second marriage, and she recognized that when she married, that there was a lot of ritual and celebration and public recognition and hope, and then when she divorced, her experience was that it was kind of shameful. Like, don't talk about it too much, and nobody really wants to recognize it in any kind of way. And there certainly were no gifts or parties
showers or parties.
Cake. And I think there's been a change recently in our culture where people are starting to do that more. In some ways, though, when I see people having like the cake and the big celebration, I feel like it doesn't quite capture though, because it's not a celebration.
No, it's not exactly.
Yeah. So this is an alchemizing.
Funeral.
Yes.
To some degree, at that freshness.
Yeah.
It's more of a funeral, I think. And there aren't really. I mean, maybe there are cards for divorce now, but at the time, 7 years ago, like there weren't cards, and nobody knows what to say to you. Congratulations.
Yeah. Or I'm sorry. I had both of those, and neither of them.
They don't land. They're not good enough. I mean, it's not that they're not good enough.
This is what I love about our workshop, is that I think it's going to hold space for both those things.
Yes.
It's going to hold space for the congratulations, for the I'm sorry, and how we reconcile those two things.
Yes, and what we truly need from people, or need from ourselves.
Need from ourselves, and to hold space and do that in community with one another.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably like enough information for our friends right now.
I think so.
Maybe we could tell a little piece of our stories so they get to know us.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And but thank you for listening. And
thank you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to work together and to offer something that's so important to people that have had this experience.
Yeah.
All right, catch you.